Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Let's Talk Wargaming. I'm your host, Don Maidlow, and I've got a great episode. It's probably a lot of chaos which is going to happen in this one, and let's hope it is, because we've got the boys from Team Hive Mind. Hey, guys.
All right,
Hello.
Tom.
Hey,
Hello,
so
hello.
let's go around and introduce yourselves. So, James, you introduce yourself and a little bit about armies you play.
Yeah, so I'm James. I'm the main host, the voice that never shuts up, of the Team Hive Mind podcast, and sort of help Matt with the events, armies, just a few, all of the Elder, Knights, Space Wolves, but we don't talk about Space Wolves, Chaos Space Marines.
It was the year of the wolf.
It was,
Disappointing you, James.
and then the wolf died, a horrible death.
Well, yeah, 10th edition hit.
We'll come on to that. But yeah, that's me.
Oh, great.
I go.
Oh,
So
Simone.
I'm Simone. So I play sister. I only play sister. That's my army. I used to play sister. I'm gonna play sister. That's me.
You've got some good-looking knights coming on. Don't hold back.
Nah, I play sister, mate.
Okay.
I collect nine. I like to paint them, but I play sisters. They are too much fun. They are my jam. I just love playing them. The play style is what I want to play. So, night I play a couple of games, but they're boring. Not many
And
more.
also,
Come on,
knights aren't a real army, are they either? So
they
there's
really are
that.
not. They're not.
They're just the easy meta chase for everyone at the moment.
Yeah.
Exactly. Couple of models, you done an army. What's that?
Exactly.
You don't
got
pay.
7,500 points.
You need the chore. You need the chore. You have to paint 20,
work.
80 models exactly the same. All 90 battle sisters exactly the same. That's the chore that proves that you deserve to play that army. So yeah. So that's me.
So I only collect Dark Angels now. I've had most armies, I think, at some point or other, but I decided to dedicate myself to the first. I also have some knights, but as we said, they're not a real army. So I am here for mainly just the Deathwing. We'll see how they do in 10th. But yeah, I've got basically a chapter of Dark Angels, I think, now. So yeah, that's me.
Nice.
Nice, great. Well, today we're going to be talking about everything to do with competitive play with the transition into 10th from 9th, and we're going to talk about what we liked about 9th, what we didn't like about 9th, 10th edition, what we do and don't like so far, and we're just going to see where this goes, because who knows? It's the Team Hive Mind. These guys are a wild bunch. So, Team Hive Mind, if you don't know who they are a Warhammer competitive and lore-based podcast on Spotify, and they get great episodes out. They've been going since December 2022, and I think you're on episode 14, 15 now.
Yep, 16 is tomorrow.
Yeah, so that'll be dropping probably the same day as this, so it's out today. And yeah, and they have a great guest like Skari, Nassim, Jake, and yeah, it's great. It's good. Check it out, and we've had some mind goblins on there, so that's always the real one right there.
Absolutely. So one question: what's the lore? You say we talk about lore? What's the lore? I don't know what it is.
We were on stream and we talk about
Okay.
stories.
Me and Alex
fluff.
Green also do discuss the little bits of Horus Heresy we've read.
All right. Oh yeah, I tried
that. That is true.
I tried that.
Basically, if it's 40k related, it's probably in there somewhere because we go off script a lot.
Do you reckon?
Tom needs to try and it down on this episode. He told us 45 minutes to an hour. That for us doesn't. It's going to be hard. It's going to be hard.
This, I was like, right, guys, we need 45 minutes to an hour. They each burst out laughing because they
Iron Fist, Dom. Iron Fist. You can do it. You can keep us under control if you try.
Okay, right. So first impression. So the way it's going to work, because there's three of you. Usually, I'm just used to just one person in front of me whilst I'm talking. Just blurt your answers out. If you want to talk over each other, shout about. That's fine. But who wants to go first? First impressions of 10th edition.
I'll go first. I'm going first. Me. I am going to go counter to the current internet ramblings and say I actually quite like 10th so far. ignoring all the stuff they need to fix. Put it all to one side.
But that's the problem.
Hang on. Underneath, I think there's a good game if they fix the stuff that is glaringly obvious. And I think we need to have a little bit of faith in Games Workshop that they won't torpedo their main franchise sort of thing. Sorry, iOS players, don't care. Your game doesn't exist to me. It's dead to me. You killed the old world. It's dead. This is the main game for 40k for Games Workshop, and I don't think they'll let it be torpedoed. But underneath all the mortal wounds, underneath the towering, underneath the fly, underneath everything else, I think there's a good system there that they just need to refine. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I like. There's a lot of things in it that I like, and I'm excited to play with.
I do share the feeling. I think obviously there are some stuff that there are some combo that they shouldn't exist, like anti-X combined in the same weapon with devastating wound.
Yeah.
That's BS. It's proper bullshit. Can we say bullshit, isn't it? Can we say So
it's not a C-bomb, you're fine.
It's a massive one. So that's one. That's one. And I think that's one of the biggest. I think the main issue has been the indexes, or whatever the plural of indexes.
Yeah.
And basically, I know it's difficult to balance it. I mean, I wouldn't like to be in their shoes and do everything from scratch. But I do believe that the index is what kind of ruined it more than the core game. The core game, I think, is quite nice. I think the combat is nerfed, but it can be all right. I'm a very big melee passionate. All my army are melee. But I don't know. I think the indexes has been the biggest problem out of it.
I'm glad you pointed that out about the combat, because all of the armies I love to play are combat, because I always find that shooting is an easy way to play 40k, and I like to challenge myself, so I go for very skill-based armies. Be it LGT, I did play Corrosions of Bile, and I just wrecked face with it, and it was easy.
Before the nerf?
That doesn't count. That was before the nerf, yes.
Yeah.
But
that was gross.
It was horrendous. But they've taken all the little movement shenanigans out. They've killed Fly big time, which I'm just really not a fan of, especially as Harlequins and Drakari and Demons are my main armies. All of those do abuse Fly in 9th completely, but not an abusive way that doesn't make sense. Fly did make sense, Hellions not getting infantry keyword, and also Fly being broken, how you have to go up and over buildings rather than you can just go through is just much.
I don't think that is too bad, because it makes the game 3-dimensional. So who follow the podcast know that. I know. Wait a minute. I'm getting there. Let me get it to it. So I did play a game with just cardboard as a terrain, but not 3-dimensional cardboard. It was a tile with a line to just do the footprint of the wall, and I did not feel any difference. After a few minutes playing the game, it was like playing any other game. Maybe I was so immersed in the game that I didn't realize it, but literally, it was a 2-dimensional game.
Yeah.
Hopefully, the fly will make a little bit more 3-dimensional. I just try to be positive here.
Just to pick up on the Fly stuff. Did the designers' commentary change it? Because I thought in the original core rules, and I didn't mind the core rules, but if you start or end on a 3D piece of terrain, you measure the vertical.
Yeah.
But in the core rules, it was even if you're hopping over it, you measure vertical along vertical.
Yeah.
I didn't mind the old way. If you start or end on a horizontal vertical bit of terrain, fine, measure up because you've physically gone up, right?
Yeah.
But I think if you're jumping over it, just jump over it. To me, that had been the better way to do it. I didn't like the designers' commentary take on it.
Problem in 9th, again, there's the whole issue of being an inch away from the building and that being boring as shit, because playing to intent, all my models are an inch away. It's okay, cool. But having, in terms of having models like Be'lakor, Bloodthirster, that then suddenly, unless, Tau, Bloodthirster suddenly hops a building, he's there. They can't kill him because he's phase gapped. which another thing I'm glad has died a death is
Yeah,
phase cap.
same.
Because they're poor as
Oh,
hell.
yeah.
And transhuman. But I think with fly, they needed to have a compromise, because I think the verticality of just jumping, basically ignoring terrain, is like, oh, if you don't fly. I like the fact they've included they can fly over models, and they can do that in charge, I believe. So
Yes.
there is some improvements to fly. It's just there's a bit more thought with movement. Whether they'll change it, who knows? But yeah, I like, because otherwise I think they had to do the verticality change. Is if you can fly over models and buildings and there's no restriction in charging, you've got some terrifying charges Be'lakor and Morty and everyone else can suddenly make, if Morty can move more than 2 inches in a turn. So yeah, it needs finessing, I think, as a rule. But there are some nice aspects to it, because not being able to charge over a model was like so irritating.
That was bullshit.
Sorry, James. You said a lot of words there, right?
Yeah.
But I stopped when you said transhuman. You're dead to me. Go.
Come on, you.
Can we kick him, Dom? Can we just? That's
Come
it.
on,
He's done. Get rid.
Come on,
Simone and I've got this. It's fine.
No, come on, yeah.
James, that's savage.
Yeah,
The last thing I want to say about fly is people aren't thinking about the armies that use fly as a way to hide, a way to stay, because they're frail already. I played 2 games of 10th now, and both were with Drakari, and I actually felt like my army was half as fast as it was, because it has to go round everything rather than just hop over. Because my first movement phase, I went up and down. I was like, cool, so that's 14 inches. I've moved 4 inches.
And especially now where you've got to be wholly within the terrain for to get your Dark Lancers to fire out of the terrain piece. You've got to be wholly within now. You can't even just tag it and then fire through. I can imagine for stuff like Drakari is
I really like the production value that Dom, because we're talking about fly, I could hear an airplane. I really
the soundboard.
I really hope it's gonna be in the video. But anyway, sorry.
My vibe on fly is someone at Games Workshop has been punched too many times by a Kraken winged hive tyrant with overrun, and they've just gone, no, that's it. It's dead to us.
I think that's the worst part. Is a lot of things that fly. I mean, Morty's lost 2 inches. Raiders have got they're still 14, but like
Every inch matters, right?
Lost 2 inches.
It's got slower. Yeah.
All the fly stuff, I think that's the biggest impact. Is on the straight line, not a big difference. On the vertical sort of change they've now added in, a bit more of an issue. I like the concept of the fact that monsters have to fly up to the top of a building. It's not I've moved 1 inch and I'm now on top of the building. I like the concept. The execution needs some work. That's my thing. I like the anti keyword. I like the devastating keyword. I don't like the excess.
The combos, the combos are a bit much. Where you could it's like we saw with the Death Watch, straight out of the gun. People were like, "Oh, 48 mortal wounds, here we come," and all of us were like, what?" And then we're like, "Oh, they can combo."
And they've done it for the indirect as well. Indirect is still nerfed, not as much as 9, but it's still nerfed. But then the first weapon that they show, the Exorcist from the Sister, where the first weapon, exactly, ignore cover, and it's got heavy. So if it doesn't move, get +1 to hit, which basically counters straight away.
If your AdMech and wound it, it's then got +1 to hit on that, so it's now hitting on 2s.
It's this combo. It's this combo. All these combo that don't make any sense, like anti-tank or anti-X, and then devastating wound. Don't put it together.
Where they've gone, we're going to simplify the number of types of rules. So what they've done is they've taken the +1 to save, they've taken the -1 ballistic skill and just turned it into -1 to hit, +1 cover save.
Perfect. I like that.
So I think the only change they need to make, other than Desolation Marines need to be put in a box, is they just need to put the -1 ballistic skill and +1 to cover, or just remove ignores cover from every indirect weapon. I mean, I did the math on Luke was here, and we literally sat down and was like, what can 10 Desolation Marines do? Like, they blast, they're heavy, they ignore cover, and they can get full rerolls.
And sustain 5 from an apothecary or something.
And
Yeah.
You put a bolt of discipline Apo in there. Done.
so with the full rerolls, you've got, so you've got roughly, if you've got 10 of them going into a 20-man target, you've got around 80 to 100 shots.
It's a bit much.
See, but this is what I was saying at the beginning. Like, there's a game under it that works, because as soon as the Deathwing Command Squad came out, I was like, oh, this is a bit of me. Put a Terminator character in there. You give him Adept to the Codex, so he can be in tactical every turn with Terminators. You put an Apothecary in there. You've got your res to get closer. You've got all these cool little things, so you can fall back, shoot, charge, movement from the res to get closer, so you've got better charges. Awesome. Like, there's a really cool set of combos in there that make that squad really good. And then you just go, yeah, but Desolation Marines.
Yeah.
Like, why? Like, I can do all this work to have a really cool, fun combo that I really want to play with, and it's good movement, it's fun, it's interactive. But Desolation Marines exist.
Yeah.
So why do all that effort when Desos exist? It kind of ruins it a little bit on that level, where there's something underneath that's fun and interactive, and it is all that movement. But Desolation Marines.
And that's where I think they've got a bit clap happy with keywords in some regards. Don't get me wrong, the Thunder Coil Harpoon being useful for the first time.
Finally.
That sort of weapon.
The Lion does not like that weapon.
No,
the Lion is not happy about this harpoon.
Any 10 wound or less vehicle. But that weapon is would have been 8 meter long spear. Like, that thing should hurt when it hits you. End of. But Stern Guard turning around to Mortarion and going, here's 52 mortal wounds, mate. Carry on.
Yeah. I thought mortals would go in this edition, but it's a bit more than last time. I mean, we had a lot of mortals in ninth, but it seems just there's like every army seems to have one way to abuse it, and then the armies that kind of need it, with like the ones that don't really have a strong data sheet, so they're quite frail, can't really seem to have the mortal wounds, and they're being kicked to the curb, which is a bit annoying.
But that's where like ones like Drakari, who are fairly balanced, as long as you take 6 Raiders and 3 Ravagers, and then 6 Catalyte squads with Dark Lances, so you've got 9 plus 12 plus. So you've got like 21 minimum
35 Dark Lancers in it, and that's just okay to play.
And you say balanced. Okay.
Yeah, because the rest of Drakari is
inbound, P7. They die to Desolation Marines. That's all you need.
Yeah.
20 Desolation Marines, they're all dead. And that's like the Raiders going to a 6-up invuln was the weird one for me with Drakari. They became so fragile, but they don't have the output. Like, they're don't get me wrong, the poison weapons, which are now just anti-infantry 3+, got better and worse in some regards. They didn't lose AP. Yay, because they didn't have any to begin with. But they now wound on 3s. But they don't do anything to monsters, and they don't do anything to bites.
Well, the thing is, to make a list now, I think is, have you got enough indirect? Yes, put it all in. Can you do devastating mortal wound, possibly at anti-X combo? Yes, put it in. Fill the rest with whatever you got.
Yeah.
That's kind of what it is, and that's why I believe that the problem are in the indexes more than the core rule.
Yeah,
it's the indirect. You should be paying a real premium to have that in your army. Like every model, every unit in the game that can do indirect, I'd say as a tank, slap on 50 points per tank, and if it for each 5-man, slap on 50 points. So big 10-man desolators, you've got 100 more points going on there, because they shoot at something they can't see. It's so valuable.
They just break the rules of the game, don't they? Like it takes the whole movement phase of the game and just chucks it in a bin.
If you take Desolation Marines without the rerolls, without the sustained hits, like, they're less cracked. But it's the stacking of all their rules, and then you just stick them at the top of a 5-inch tall ruin, and now they're +1 AP. And then you pop a strat to make them AP2.
I forgot about that. Yeah,
you've got this re-rolling, exploding to AP2 like 80 shots, like potentially against a 20-man unit.
I mean, I'm going to repeat myself again. We are talking about problem in the indexes, in the
yeah.
data sheets,
Yeah.
with the combined. If all these ability or whatever you want to call them, they would be like spread it out, break through it. Okay, this some combo. Otherwise, the game is dumb. But they give you the combo directly inbuilt in the data sheet. And that's the problem, because devastating wound at the end of the day, yes, it's strong, but if you be just an unmodified 6, it will be different.
I hate mortal wounds. Anyone that has spent 5 minutes in any chat with me will know how much I absolutely hate
Press
the
mute.
mortal wound mechanic.
Don't press mute.
Someone killed a
I could
Terminator.
rant for days on how bad they are.
Do you want to know? So at the Birmingham team tournament, I had one psychic phase with 110 point model, which did 37 mortal wounds in 3 psychic casts.
Okay.
Just
Okay.
I don't mind it if
fun.
it's like D3, D6, a special character. Fine, crack on. Like, you know, Lilith doing D3 or D6 mortal wound so often. Fine, not bothered. But there's such a boring mechanic.
Like devastating wound is it makes sense in the lore. Like if you are twatted around the face with a thunderhammer, maybe devastating wound 1, it's going to hurt. If you're hit by a piece of plasma, it's probably going to hurt. But not everything needs it.
No, it should be like the old D weapons where it feels like double your toughness,
like
it would turn to D.
Instant death.
Yeah.
Bring back the instant death.
Oh yeah, definitely.
My favourite change on a data sheet that is just funny and is going to be the biggest gotcha is the Incarn.
Right. What
So
does it do
the Incarn in 9th edition, when she does the inevitable death and bounces across the board,
I think it's James.
She can't die. She can't charge.
Pronouns.
Okay. They.
Thank you.
Everyone else calls it.
What?
So when they bounce across the board, cancel culture. When they bounce across the board, they couldn't charge. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, that restriction's gone.
Yeah.
Right. So you bounce and charge.
And she
the other one is declaring a charge on something and then piling and fighting something else. That's going to catch people out.
So why?
Tank shock with a knight, 6 mortal wounds. Cool. Your 5-man ranger screen is dead. Bonk. Camus Rex is now hitting your tank with 5.
Yeah, exactly.
They hit attacks.
Right. Moving on, Dom. Moving on, please.
Yeah. This has been a 10-minute rant about what we don't like, and we've covered 3 things. Is there anything we do like? Is there anything?
OC. I love OC.
Okay.
Objective controlled as a concept, especially as TOs like James and I are currently trying to work out our terrain layouts for 10th. OC compared to objective secured gives so much more freedom to TOs to design terrain layouts because it no longer matters if you've got one guy with OBSEC touching a marker behind a wall that you can't see. Beforehand, that was a pain in the arse because you had to send objective secured over to deal with that problem. If it's just OC and you've got one guy tagging it, fine, you can control it.
And
but
the math.
OC1, OC2, I can just chuck chaff on there and take it off you. You've got to then come out and do it with my chaff. OC for me as a TO, I love it. It offers up so much more freedom.
It's also, it's almost like, kindergarten math. 1, 2, 3, you've got 1, 2, cool, I win. As opposed to going, oh, they've got OBSEC, oh, they're double OBSEC, cool. That guy gives OBSEC, oh, but your guy, when I roll it in my command phase, I'll put 3 Necrons on, so I'll have enough and then the number of people that wouldn't realise that, oh, because we both got OBSEC, we then don't care about OBSEC. So it's just one less layer.
Yeah.
That was the biggest one. I've got 5 OBSEC. You've only got 2 OBSEC, but you've got 10 other guys. So I win because I've got 5 OBSEC against your 2 OBSEC. Having that conversation of that's not how it works. OBSEC's binary. Have you got it? Yes, no.
I had this so many times. Many times, especially at the beginning where you get paired with someone maybe is less experienced, at the beginning of a tournament. When you get to the mid-high table, people knows about it. But when you're not that I stay much at the high table anyway, but you know what I mean. And You always have that conversation constantly. It was a
That-
pain, and then you have to take
that
the
going
book.
away.
Yeah,
happy.
that's a good one. That's a good
My
one.
other one is the mission cards, because after 2 years, like, okay, we're probably going to have the GT pack and we'll play those 5 missions at most events for 6 months. Fair enough. But then they might release new cards with new missions. But there's more availability for going to a random RTT where the TO has just gone, screw it. And you walk up and you go, so what are the missions? And he goes, I'm going to make them now. And just some complete mad lad just laughing, going, everything costs 2 CP. You can't reroll. Like,
Yeah.
just I mean, most people probably quite upset because, you know, I've tried to build for an event and now I can't actually do anything. But the concept of it is fun.
Yeah.
Just a caveat, James, we're not doing that, are we?
Oh God, no.
Just a caveat, we're not doing that. That's not
For our
us. Don't
first
worry.
event,
Secondaries, you're going to have fixed secondaries so people don't slide some dodgy cards in.
So again,
I'm very worried about
yeah.
the card and
So-
people cheating with the card, because there are so
People
many
will
flipping
do
way.
Yeah.
Yes.
Magic the Gathering. I used to play a lot of Magic the Gathering events. So again, when you go to play with an opponent, if you have a pristine deck, always use yours. And
Yes.
check when you check through the cards, count the right number of cards are there, because after that there's not really much point, because if they go bring it down turn 1, bring it down turn 2, well, clearly they've got extra cards in the deck.
Yeah.
But also, one of the things I'm going to implement in our player pack for our event at the end of July is what you do at Magic events is you cut the deck, so they can fiddle shuffle as much as they like, and then you go, cool. Suddenly,
But that's good.
Those 5 good cards are now at the bottom of the deck.
But that's good because you got this experience in Magic and you can implement it in our player pack.
And it's something that's natural.
GW, I mean, Magic the Gathering, they got a rule system with judge system, which is established. It comes from Wizard, the Coast, whatever they're called. And that's different. They got proper referee, etc. So it's an established way of avoid cheating and dealing with cheaters. GW doesn't have that.
You look at
every event is cowboy style.
You look at chess.
You never know what it's gonna have. Yeah, chess clock, for example.
Chess clock. A couple of years ago, like before my time, I played in 3rd, had a break, came back for 9th because COVID happened. So you had like clocks weren't a thing and they were a big uproar. Whereas now you get to most larger events, LGT, cool. You're intending to be sort of going to the end, cool. You're playing on a clock. Like there's that expectation that's more natural. People don't look at a clock and wonder what the hell it is.
But we are not there yet with the card. We are not there yet with the card. I mean, we haven't started, but
once people
so maybe
doing
we are.
it, because again, a lot of events, Warhammer events, work on word of mouth. Weirdly, like people go, I had a really positive experience there. They did this thing, and then someone will go to an event and they go, any feedback, and they go, yeah, do this thing with the cards.
True.
So it will slowly happen, and it is people are talking about it on different things. The Try Hard Discord, they're talking about where and how they're going to do that sort of thing. So I think it will happen. Or we only are allowed, I mean, the GW app, electronic decks, why not? That'll make it easier.
It would actually make it a lot easier. I think it's Tabletop Battles actually has that on now. The app, so you can do random, you do practice games, do random secondary application, which is good. Okay, so there's some positive things there. We do like some things, but have any of you actually played any of the 10th games yet, or are you just at the planning stage?
I haven't yet because I'm still keeping my head fresh for TOing our last 9th event this weekend. So I haven't tried to get too deep into playing 9th or 10th at the moment. So I'm confused myself, but
I actually love the cards, the random cards. It got to the point when I was playing as Eldar, and I was trying desperately to get to his D cannons and his Wraith Knights, and I was just like throwing Talos all the way up. They were just dying instantly, and then from out of nowhere, I got engaged on all fronts, and then do actions in the corner, and my entire army just went away. It's just like, yeah, just I'll see you later. It was just such a weird thing because, like, at that point, I was like, "Well, I just have to get all the points because I can get max points in this turn. I get like, however many points it is."
Let's move on, guys.
I think that's how people need to adapt. Is you can't just go, I'm going to bring it down. I'm going to take assassinate, even though same, different. I can never remember. And then I'm going to take engage, and I'm going to do this battle plan, and like maybe adapt a bit. Whereas now, like if you're taking the tactical ones, your literal game plan is decide it in my command phase. Which means people are going to I think it's going to be harder to run skew lists and win.
Yeah.
3 Hexagon land fortresses, no matter how cheap they are, aren't going to win you games if you can't get to every corner on the table suddenly.
No. That's a few armies are going to really struggle on that. I think that's what's going to help out with like matchups against knights, is that their secondaries aren't going to be as good, and they're probably just going to go fixed, which means that you can probably outscore them. Knights are horrendous as they are, and I think they're Imperial Knights are definitely more stronger than the Chaos Knights. But I just prefer Chaos, man. Like I'm just a Chaos guy. Like I don't have any loyalist factions, and every time Space Marines are good, I'm just like, no, I'm gonna build something to beat it. That's what
so much
apart
more.
From Dark Angels,
there is so much more in the Imperial,
chaos, right?
There is so much.
We kind of straddle the line.
Yeah. There is so much more in the Imperial. Embrace the sisterhood. Embrace it.
I just want Chaos Space Marines to be good. Like,
they are. Like,
but like Marine good. But the problem is we're combat rather than shooting. So it's easy to make shooting.
No, you got shooting. You got Well, I've also got a faction. Forge Fiend now can do some silly things.
Very tasty. Venom Crawlers is pretty good.
Obliterators with Zinch become ridiculously immortal because you just see people back.
Their guns are just a bit poo though.
Is it?
But they just don't die.
Is Chaos Knight the faction that we defined in our latest episode brainless? Isn't it? Is it that one?
They can in the new edition, or in 10th with the current one now, they can still run all War Dogs.
Okay, so that's the brainless build that you just.
I hated playing that so much. Okay, it's just loads of them.
Yeah,
but they're not as tough now as they were, because there's a lot more strength 10 weaponry.
Or 14 if you're Eldar, but
yeah. But in terms of across all factions, there's a lot more 10. Obviously, Knights, you just bring 3 Castellan and just go crack on. Or the new build, which is 3 Crusaders apparently. Vindicare Assassin.
Yeah, that'll table you.
He's amazing. Yeah. You left your Warlord out in the open. Oh, I've got a 5-up build open. Cheers.
But that's more to do with towering, isn't it? Let's be honest. That's more to do with the towering keyword. And if that,
no. The Vindicare is about this tall. You can't see because he's tiny. Yeah. The Vindicare Assassin. If he sees your T4 4-wound character.
Yeah, no, but I meant more the 3 Crusaders side of life. Where if towering goes, those 3 Crusaders are a bit, they have a lot taken off them.
A lot of the games people are playing with towering on is they're still using current UKTC terrain, which has windows in the middle.
Yeah, I bet Zach was not pleased when they released that. As soon as I saw it, I burst out laughing. Not because of but I was just like, no way they put that in. And then I also think of the GW boards. There's no terrain on them as it is. You want to take all terrain off? Come on.
That's what we've already changed. This is part of why we're doing like a little mini tent thing on the same day as the other the 9th event, just purely we've developed different formats. They're not perfect, they're not tested, just so we can see like how do they work, how do they function. People are bringing different armies. I like towering, A, because I'm a Knights player, but B, because playing the whole of 9th where you can shoot me, cool, crack on, and I can't shoot you back. Either keep towering as it is, but people really need to think about the terrain they're using, because
but now
the format's dead.
Or this is the extreme.
Remove it completely. Like you can't see either way.
I would go for a middle ground where towering allows you to tow in to touch to terrain, and then you can see through it. Vehicles have to go all the way in, but if you're towering, you can do the old tow in and then see through that terrain.
That does make sense, because they'll be able to like hit maybe like 2 or 3 bits of terrain pieces, and you can have your stubber going that way. You could have one gun going that way, harpoon over there. Yeah, no,
but then if you're behind a piece they're not touching, you're still safe from obscuring.
kind of what we actually need is bigger terrain, like having those, or is it WTC, the one which has the huge L's in the middle, and they're bigger than a knight sort of.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they're bang
Yeah.
in the middle, and
The thin one, yeah.
yeah,
They're
and
quite thin and long.
Exactly. If you have more stuff like that, which I mean, it would be better if we played on stuff like that because we don't have as many flyers to move around. Like it would make towering fine, but it's the fact that we play a lot of
UKTC.
UKTC, and
It's just an open field. It's just an open field. You
Yeah,
play
'cause I think
knight.
the only thing they've got is that large municipium thing, the large cube.
Yeah,
Sorry,
but
please.
it usually is placed in the deployment zone.
Yeah, right.
So he's at the back. He's never within the middle. And then you
That's
can
all Sanctorum.
the municipium. No, municipium.
Oh,
Large municipium.
The TT
Oh,
combat municipium
It's
set.
the big cube thing.
Yeah.
I thought he was talking about sisters, so I assumed it was his fortification.
Oh, hey, okay, I can talk about the stuff. I can talk about terrain, which I play with my sister on it. So yeah.
Yeah.
No. Wait a minute. Move on.
We'll skip past that one.
So what do we
English language?
What do we think about the most OP armies coming into 10th? Like, what are the main standouts from what we've seen in the last couple of weeks?
There's obviously Eldar, as in Craft World.
Yeah,
however,
I think we got a caveat that yesterday it may have been nerfed.
Yeah,
there's a rumor, isn't there, of a
new
update
coming out tomorrow.
So,
that when you hear this will actually be yesterday, hopefully.
Yeah. So maybe just don't say that. Maybe just explain as well why you think it is, and then
currently Eldar. However, what upsets me about Eldar is I think if they do nerf, it's basically the Wraith Knight, the D cannons, and the Fate dice. I think remove auto damage on Fate dice. Fate dice don't trigger devastating wounds. Too easy fixes. 5 Prism should not be 125 points. I just have sold my metal ones to buy new ones. Please don't change the points. But there's a bit of undercosting. But the Aspect Warriors are a bit like Incubi. Are just shite. Like they're going to nerf the army, and it's just be like, cool. I can't kill anything now. That happens. Thousand Suns are the other ones that have, I think, the best synergies in the game.
Yeah, they're amazing.
It's I'm a psychic weapon that does mortal wounds, and I re-roll it. It's Oath of Moment on a stick with Doombolt, which is just insane. They're my 2 top ones.
You're not mentioning Knights. You Knights player. Wait, Mr. I play Knights. So you're not going to mention Knights as an OP faction?
I was coming on to that. I did the top 2. Knights are a stat check. Knights are, can you kill them? Yes, cool.
No, you can't. So blown off the board. Like, what are you going to do against Knights if they knock out all your anti-Knight shooting turn 1 because they've gone first and they can see everything?
Everything on the board.
Better terrain.
Sorry. We said 40k armies, didn't we? And we all know Knights aren't a 40k army, so that's why they got left out there.
They are just hobby projects.
They're just hobby projects.
That's what they are.
I love Knights. They're just fun. And also, you can turn up to Beachhead when they had 7 games in 2 days and go home and feel fine while Matt's throwing up in a basket. So that's why I love Knights. It means you can actually do a bit of social while there, as opposed to running Drakari at events.
You're digressing, mate. Go back to your top 20. Talk about your top 20.
Knights being pretty good. Custodes are the masters of the fight phase with all the fight first they have.
Good, yeah.
I'm a bit scared of them because they are so flippy resilient. They can resurrect a guy with a CP. I'm very scared of them.
And then basically Space Marines are the Gladius detachment, and basically take whatever you feel like.
And
as a Dark Angels player, that Gladius detachment is tasty. I think the Unforgiven one is going to be all right, but the Gladius one, I like the Gladius.
The Unforgiven one, hilarious.
Yeah.
Right.
The Unforgiven one's all right, but I think
Battle Shock us. Please battle shock us, please.
So we've done the intro of the podcast.
we would have done for our one.
Yeah. Other people's thoughts on top faction from those.
No, you covered them, man.
Yeah.
There's others.
I think Marines are it's Marines and Eldar that are the top. Because Oath Moment is just too good. It should not be that good. It's a bit oppressive, and I've done much research on this, and I've just been laughing at people just getting hosed off the board, and it's just been ridiculous.
Especially Gilliman, that second application of oaths.
Yeah, it's a bit much, especially like we thought, oh, melters are going to die, but then they make eradicators even better with Oath Moment as well. It's just silly.
Points.
Yeah, and then but they even after, if you get rid of that, they've got dreadnoughts coming back to life. They got all that stuff. Least land speeders are nerfed because of fly. That's quite nice.
Units of one, weirdly.
Yeah, which is quite nice.
That's a weird other.
I had to read that contemptor rule 3 or 4 times and pinch myself. Like, especially when it was meant to go to legend, because they were like, oh yeah, all this stuff's going to legend. It's no longer in 40k. By the way, contemptor's out really good. You're
at least it's only the one you can have with the set weapons though.
Yeah, it's true.
Like, those double Volkites were a bit much, especially in
it doesn't shoot on death or something.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? That's why they didn't put Volkites in the game, because of devastating wounds at 2 damage with full rerolls and 48-inch bloody range.
It's about standard for Death Watch.
Yeah, but Hellblasters, they're pretty good as well. I watched the Art of War stream where he shot the entire unit of Hellblasters into a squad of warriors.
Yeah,
the warriors didn't die; they all came back to life. Necrons.
Wow.
We're missing
Necron
Necrons. Necrons are one of the top armies in 10th at the moment, and it's simply you cannot kill them, and their Doomsday arcs are horrendous. So they're the one to really watch out for.
What's the guy with all the pistols? He's finally actually got a decent profile.
He was great anyway. He was amazing in the elf meta because he dropped down, just kill a Shadowsith, and then off he goes.
But you can now legitimately run 3 of them. The other one that I'm waiting for them to FAQ is the Transcendent Catan with a 4-up feel no pain and halving damage. That one's fun.
Yep. Basically phase cap again.
Worse?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you just have to hit it with 400 Castellan rockets.
If you got any, I don't know.
Yeah.
Just 30 Desolation Marines.
If you got any,
So, what do you think about Sisters?
I don't know. I think they've been nerfed strongly, and the point cost didn't go down as much as the ability went down. We got more miracle dice, which is good, but now we got more miracle dice. We got nothing to do with it. So at least before a 1 was a moral test, auto passed.
Yeah.
Now every 1, 2, and possibly 3 are nothing. We don't have auto charges anymore, and Eldar got better miracle dice than us, which is very annoying. We don't have proper anti-tank, but I get why, as in because of the miracle dice and the fact that we can use with the Triumph multiple one. Can you imagine if we have miracle dice with devastating wound and everything? Would it be Eldar? And we are not. So that's the thing. We go indirect finally, but the thing is, Sister, every time the Repentia are not strong and indirect is strong, Sister are bad, no matter what. These 2 factors are what brings Sister down every time. When Tau was very strong because of the indirect crisis, whatever, last year, Sister were at the lowest peak, basically. And now
we got Repentia, just pick them up before they can do their.
We didn't have Repentia at the time. There was no point having Repentia; they would just die. It was a 30 Sacrosanct all the time because there's no point. So every time the indirect is strong, Repentia shit Sister out of the game, and that's where we are at the moment. So I'm trying to build a list.
Hobby project.
No, that's night. This is some hope. The faith is strong. So in this moment we prove our faith. So
yeah, that's good. We've been taking the mick out of the Mind Goblins, James Shapiro, in our Mind Goblins chat, just being like, I just throw him in the bin. Come on, get your Eldar out and all that sort of stuff. But I hope they're okay. I've never enjoyed playing against Sisters. They've always been my kryptonite for some weird reason. So yeah, we'll see. Maybe you get a buff soon with maybe index
I don't
update.
know. I think it's a fairly balanced army. It's just that there are stronger army and crazy army around, and therefore, when everything else is too strong and you are balanced, basically means you are down. But otherwise, I get some mechanic, etc. So as I said, the devastating wounds, not having anti-tank because we can have miracle dice. So I get it. It's a good balanced army. It's just everything else has got at least one combo that's crazy good.
Yeah.
And we don't really have that. We got one with the Triumph and the Dilogius, but it's a situational one where we start using all the miracle dice that we want because the Triumph says so, and the Dilogius say, okay, now all your miracle dice are just 6. And that's a crazy strong, but it's too situational that you have to set it up, and that would be fine. And that's why it's a balanced army. So yeah, that's what I think.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's a good rundown. So what do we think is the best mid-tier army?
Orcs. I always think orcs are such an underrated faction, and I love orc players. But all orc players are in it to win.
Not me.
I just
Shut
are they
out.
not?
No.
Shut out.
So
Shut
everything has a feel no pain now.
Yeah.
Everything's gone up in toughness. Everything
I think
still
just
hits
the way
like
orcs play the mission as well. Like when you look at the tactical cards, like you've got so much of the new game is about board control, objective control,
Movement.
and movement. And orcs just dominate. If they want to, they'll just dominate that for 3-4 turns, and then you'll kill them. You'll get through them, but you kind of run out of time. Like
so, I have my brother is a strong orc player. We got our Alex is a very strong player here as well. And my brother did a few test game because he's doing the qualifier for WTC Team Italy. And with his team, they're doing some test game. He was playing against Custodes, and he went first. He called the WAG. As a test, he charged all his orcs army, all of them, onto Custodes. The Custodes players say, I'm not going to interrupt to see how much damage you're going to cause me. He didn't kill anything. Nothing. And in return, the Custodes killed like 3/4 of the army. Game over. Turn 1.
Can't charge.
Yeah.
They're so strong in combat. I think that's a really bad matchup for orcs, though.
Yeah, it really is. But yeah,
they've
that's
got
what they are.
of devastating wounds potential with anti-tank, so they can do a lot of damage to things like knights, to land raiders that have finally resurfaced. So they can play the game a lot better than other fragile. And I'm saying orcs are fragile only because they haven't got a 3-up save in cover. But they can actually at least play the game and move quick enough. So I think
resurrected mega knobs too.
Yeah, mega knobs
be good fun.
Just ridiculous.
With Gaz in, because Gaz can join mega knobs, can't he? Now,
and he's only an infantry model. He's not in mega knob.
Yeah, Gaz just leading mega knobs out of a truck or something.
In Battle Wagon, he takes up 1 space.
Battle Wagon, that was it. Yeah.
Yeah, but so basically he takes 18 spaces in
something stupid like
in the battle wagon, but then in the because basically in the battle wagon in the data sheet does say specific if gas is on it is 18 spots, but the battle wagon doesn't say that. Every infantry count 1, and not the battle wagon, the truck, and gas is infantry now, so you only take 1 place on the truck. They miss out there.
Doesn't Judith also do that?
Yes, with her pulpit. Yeah. Yeah, that's amazing. That's
it just has a little. It's like someone going on a trip with one of those little hold-all carriers at the back.
She goes camping. She puts it on the top.
So what is the worst army in the game right now? I think a lot of people have just been saying a few names out there, and they're kicking and screaming about wolves, about Death Guard. What actually needs some help here?
So wolves, I'm a wolf player. I'm not playing them for 10. They are definitely not the worst army because they have access to Gladius detachment. Like you've got full rerolls, you've got advanced control, fall back and shoot. You've still got Desolation Marines. You've still got almost all of the stuff except
it's all vanilla. It's vanilla stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
although Thunderwolf Cavalry are like stupidly tanky, they won't kill anything, but they'll just sit there because they have T6 now. So they're nowhere near the bottom. They're probably middling. They can still play the game. They're still Marines at the end of the
They're
day.
still Marine. That's the point. Yeah, I think the worst one is definitely Admech.
And
the worst one's whatever I'm playing.
That's just
Definitely whatever I'm playing. That's the worst army.
No, I think it's Admech. They literally got no data sheet.
Isn't it?
Yeah, but
half of their rules buff other armies. They hit
Do they?
Do
they?
Especially as Dark Angels.
Or even
you
Demon.
Battle Shock me?
Yeah.
All right.
So I love it.
We're doing the talking over. Yeah.
Yeah.
So sisters, in that game, they do their D3 mortal wounds. Suddenly, all the exorcists are hitting on 2s.
Because of our detachment rule, that if we are below original strength, we get +1. So the bombardment from Admech obviously give us 1, 2, 3 mortal wound. So that's perfect.
The only Dark Angels player that's going to run the actual Deathwing detachment or whatever the Dark Angels. Yeah. Every time they're battle shocked, they get better. It's the weirdest army rule. And then, against things like Knights.
Explain, James. Explain.
Matt can do that better than I can.
Well, it's just like all the strats. So like, if someone's battle shocked, you get better at shooting. If you've got an enhancement, it's like +1, +2 strength. If you're battle shocked, it's +2. It's just like everything is like, if you're battle shocked, you just get more angry as a Dark Angels.
So you just want to be battle shocked all the time?
Yeah, you keep
if
offset,
you're going off
keep
CP.
offset, you keep objective control 1, and then your apothecary, your ancient puts you back up to 2 as a Deathwing command squad, so you're still OC2 whilst battle shocked, but you're just pissed off, and it's just like the only thing you can't do is do strats. Obviously, you can't strat the unit, but apart from that, battle shocking's just like get more angry.
Yeah. And all, like they just can't punch up, they can't trade, and they stayed really expensive.
What do you mean, Admech?
Admech, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So the bliss, a lot of people, pretty much Tau players, Votan players, and Admech players have complained about the Bliss Steel 4. Like, fair enough, but a lot of it is counteracted for other factions where you just stand still, or you have buffs like the crazy complicated Tau marker. It was such a long rule.
It was good to see when a friend of mine there is hardcore Admech player has sent me a screenshot from the Admech Discord where with a list that Richard Seagrave is testing at the moment with Admech. 1,000 points pretty much was Imperium stuff. It wasn't Admech stuff.
Random
That's such
a Knight and Assassins. That's all that was.
And then Death Guard, I basically think GW went, well, we can't give them -1 damage because that's pretty strong now because everything's lost damage and AP. And we can't give them a 5-up army-wide feel no pain back because they're not knights. And they just went, add some toughness. And they just didn't know what they wanted Death Guard faction identity to be.
Add some toughness, but minus movement again in a game that is movement based. It's just
that was
savage.
But it's fine. They can rapid ingress. It's fine.
I mean, I remember Luke seeing the reveal when Luke getting really hyped in chat, and the rest of us all sort of looking at each other like, "Who's going to tell him this is really bad?" Who's going to tell him?
You know what he picks as his 10th edition army, just to decide.
He went from Death Guard to
Admech.
Oh my god!
Really sorry for you.
Some of them look quite cool and they have potential. But again, and this is the biggest problem when all the reveals came out, we had a very narrow lens.
And I think to make it worse, he's just sold his Grey Knights as well.
Yeah, he's also sold Grey Knights, which are fun.
Yeah, they're good. Their movement's amazing, their mission plays amazing, but they lack all of the high strength stuff.
Yeah. Into vehicle meta, aside from NDKs who die to mortal wounds, they can't do anything. They will shred Drakari quite happily because their weapons are on average strength 6, a lot of them.
But will they though? Because they just get smashed by Dark Lancers. You get 35 to the face a turn.
Just take.
It's just priority kill, isn't it?
It's-
Kill the NDK.
Scourge
Oh,
and
because
12
those-
shoot you,
those-
then move back.
Yeah.
And then the rest of them are deep striking in anyway. Yeah. Because Ravagers have got deep strike, haven't they?
Yeah, and they have built-in rerolls.
Do you know how much a Ravager is points wise?
95.
30. A 3 Dark Lance. The deep strike.
It's so good. It's so that's why my list literally is 35 Dark Lances.
What do you need?
So
Oh, my
so
transhuman back.
just to wrap that bit up, so that we're thinking Death Guard, Admech, the worst, and we've got Wolves in their token just because the Wolves are whinging because they've been
No, I think
so
Wolves
long.
are white. You've got quite a few other ones. You've got both
Basically.
and you've got Harlequins. Harlequins are weirdly nerfed in the fact that they haven't actually got a detachment. It's not one of my armies, and I'm not bitter. They've also, like, their core way of playing was troop spam, and now you can only have 6 squads.
Fight spam.
And now you can't do that. But Void Weavers look semi-interesting, even if you can only have 3.
It's a faction that's pinned by a lack of data sheet, isn't it? Really.
Yeah.
They're just super cheap. That's the thing that Harlequins got going for them. They all put last edition, like when I was running Harlequins at the height, I was after the Void Weavers, I was running maybe like 18, 20, 22 units, and now you're going to see about probably even 24 plus units just everywhere. But that's all they can do. They'll only play the mission and then rely on their shuriken cannons and their Void Weavers, which can't go in squads of 3 anymore, which is a bit sad.
Right.
To get a 4-up inbound back, but just died to more.
The GW has gone very strong in. That's what you get in the box, and that's your unit, isn't it? I don't know if they declare it or not, but that's exactly what every unit composition is at the moment. So, which is not a bad thing, but it does limit list building so much, so
But
much.
free walkie is bad for that though, for that side of stuff. But
Yeah.
like, there's always a best option, right? There's always going to be this option is just better.
Yeah.
But when they're all free. It's just,
again,
why?
I'm going to repeat myself, but again, the problem I don't think at the core rule. I'm very positive about the core rule.
Oh yeah.
It just how they all interact in the data sheet, in the indexes, etc. That
Everything
messed
goes
it
wrong.
up.
It's the multiple buffs, but then that's always been a problem, isn't it? I don't know how they're going to get around it because they've committed to obviously 10th edition now, which on the first glance is worse than it was the worst 40k than we were playing a month ago, and that was 9th towards the end was great. Like there was some problems.
It was boring.
Do you play Knights?
Yeah. No, I didn't. I was playing Basils, but it's like, okay, all the lists. The problem for me was all the lists were the same. Like there was no, like, you turn up to an event, you'd be like, oh cool, like you're running that. It's like, oh, you're running Iron Hand, cool. Or whatever other faction. There was no. You wouldn't turn up to a
take it
table.
upon yourself though to challenge yourself. Like for me, like when I went to the last team's event, I specifically ran demons with no big demons, and it was actually the best demons army that I have ever played with. And I was like, oh my god, we've been missing this for the entire of 9th, and then 10th arrives, and I was like, god damn it.
I think it was boring because we knew that 10 was coming.
Yeah.
My interest in 9 dropped substantially in the last few months because it kind of felt like, why am I not wasting my energy? Yeah, why do I bother? And 10 is coming anyway, and that's why it was getting boring. But Nephilim was amazing. And Arcos Omen, I think it was good too. I think it was really good. It was boring because we knew it was the end.
The meta had been solved as well, as it were. The problem was the meta was solved in basically January.
Yeah, but they could have kept it fresh as they did with data slate and stuff like that. They've been very good. They've been consistent with the data slate. No one would have believed it when they started saying every 3 months or every quarter. Who believed it? I didn't believe it. They would have kept it like that, but they've been very consistent with it. So we have to give them that. And most of the data slate, they did shake the meta. Some. We had 1 or 2 maybe that they were a bit pointless, but most of them there was a bit of refresh.
But you look at Armor Contempt. Armor Contempt going through data slate and how much of an impact that had.
Huge. Huge.
that sort of stuff. And then it went away again, and again how much it flipped.
Yep.
And Marines all of a sudden went free war
Yeah, but-
gear cheap, and
yeah.
Marine became a horde army.
Ridiculous.
That's
how
not good.
big- how
We're
big
talking about
impact
good stuff.
That had.
Yeah.
So
But
my
I think the biggest problem with 10th is they've had 3 years of development on a game system,
Yeah.
Mm.
and they've just chucked it all in the bin. And you're like, there's so much in 9th that you could have taken forward and then
Yeah.
brought in stuff from 10th. Like again, like I said, objective control, brilliant. Bring that in. Get rid of OBSEC, bring that in. The
Yeah.
tactical cards, get rid of missions, bring that in. But have 9th as like your underpinning set that you've been developing for 3 years. Get rid of the AP bloke, because AP bloke was absolutely bollocks.
Yeah.
Bring that all down again by indexes. But I
Mm.
think they've lost 3 years of
Mm.
development in a
Yeah.
system that everyone raved about and said it's the golden age of 40k.
Yeah,
So-
it's because the play test. It's because the people who actually write the rules aren't competitive players, and then they give the rules out to competitive players, and then they try and give feedback, but it's quite biased feedback because they want to keep being play
Faction's not
testers
good.
because
Yeah.
they cut all of them away. So they want to
Yeah.
keep the job. So they're probably going to say just quite a lot of positive things, and they won't say a lot of broken things. I was actually hoping at the end of 9th that they would just go, no nerfs, have at it. Just see what's sticks.
Take all the taps, yeah, just untap.
So-
Just
Imagine
everything
that.
is now how it was in your codex. Go.
my positives for
Amazing.
10th, like the potential. This is the potential of 10th.
Yeah, go
So
on.
finally, GW has entered the modern era. We have online rules.
Yes.
The data. My piece of advice would be: don't buy the physical rule book and don't buy the data cards,
Yeah,
because they're going to update them, which is phenomenal, and they're going to release them for free. Phenomenal. But it also means that they can update things more easily without having to carry around the 13th FAQ that's been released and try to remember what the pink means, what the blue means, and whether they've actually kept it in the document.
Yeah.
And there's much more adaptability and flexibility for them to take changes and put them in. Also, basically, treat the next about 2 months, basically until LGT in September, as a beta phase. The first data slate sort of marker will basically be a cool. Thanks for the feedback. Hopefully they fix it. Like, that's my hope for 10th, is actually there will be a lot of errata, but you won't have to carry around 400 pages of it, because it will just be cool. I've downloaded the new rulebook.
Wait a minute. They just released an 18-page rule commentary.
Designer's commentary.
It was bigger than the core rule book. I don't want to break the dream straight away.
But
But I agree with you. No, I agree with you.
It's reactive. Like,
Yeah,
they've
yeah,
not
no, I
waited like 6 months.
Yeah,
Like,
no, I agree.
you know,
And I get the point as well, because the end of 9th again, it was kind of like you're saying, you're playing your first few rounds, and you get someone, and they're quite new to 9th or quite new to 40k, and they're like, oh yeah, this is my rule. And like, yeah, sorry, the FAQ changed that, and they're like, oh what? And you're like, yeah,
you
sorry,
have to go to the
yeah,
download.
or yeah, sorry, no, it's not your own book FAQ. It's actually the designer's FAQ. It's the core rule book. No, actually, no, it's in this FAQ. Oh, it was a nightmare trying to keep it up to date, but it's time for a refresh. But I think it'd be nicer to keep a lot of the elements of 9th involved.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. It's time for a refresh. It's a new 40k. It's more content for all of us to talk about. So this is great.
It's hashtag new 40k.
Yeah, we've always got dramas come on, and when Eldar aren't nerfed and it's 4 months down the line and they're still more powerful, they've got a new detachment out, they've got a new codex, and it's just ridiculous. And
That'll be the hilarious thing. I think it balanced, and there'll be a 50% win rate everywhere, and then a codex will drop that will just shit on it.
Oh,
yeah.
The other thing is, if 40k players aren't moaning, they're not talking, right? I mean, I saw a comment on sort of one of the Reddit posts the other day about how Games Workshop moved everything to PDFs and it's all online for free. I was like, this is amazing. People were like, oh yeah, but document size is too big. And if we're not moaning about something, we're not talking as 40k players. I swear.
Yeah. Right, I got to cut us off because I'm holding you guys to the hour.
We broke the hour mark, lads.
I've done a
We
good
broke
job.
the hour mark.
So can you just tell everyone where they can find you, what's coming up in your podcast, and what can they expect from your show?
I will let James take over at this point.
In terms of the podcast, you can basically find that anywhere you find most podcasts: Spotify, iTunes. Anchor is the main host by Spotify. But anywhere we have our Discord, you can find that either on our Spotify / anywhere you find the podcast description. Go to our Facebook, the link is there. We run our own events. The main place to find out about them is either our Facebook page, which is just search for Team Hive Mind, and or join our Discord, which is now over 200 members and really great stuff. Hopefully next TTS, Doug, I'm going to make you watch this and do a TTS game, Doug. Great. Yes.
Great. Well,
Why
it's
is my
been...
camera flipped? I've just seen my camera.
Oh my god!
No, you're fine.
No, you're fine on here. It was when we were starting. Anyway, so we've I've had a blast having you guys on talking about 9th edition, 10th edition, moaning about things, being excited about only a few things, but this is what it's good about chatting about it. It's all new stuff. But I just want to say a quick shout out to a few sponsors here. So we've got East Anglia Slam, which is they're doing their first major 40k tournament this year. It's going to be on the September the 2nd. Go check them out. It's I think there's still 50% tickets left, and it's a 5-round 10th edition major, 120 people with great prize support as well. And also Fourth Dimension Printing, who if you need stuff 3D printed, he's your man. He's got like 10 3D printers. He did my entire Demons army, and it is just nuts good. And he did it very quickly as well. So you just go check him out. All of these links will be in the link below, and the links to the Discord for Hive Mind and the links. Yeah. Thank you for coming on, guys.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
you.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's it. Bye.